I've made it all the way through. We're not just going to see one Quest Rogue right now, Derek. We are going to see a Quest Rogue mirror match. It has been a while since I've had to cast one of these.
It has been a little while. I completely agree with you there. And the way it's played is kind of changed quite drastically, because I remember way back in the Quest Rogue days of yore, even before the quest was nerfed, when you only had to play 4 of the same minion in order to complete the quest, rather than 5. Cards like Shadow Step were just unequivocally just always kept because it was like the best card in your deck. It gave you such quick quest completion. But now I've seen quite a lot of debates floating around on Twitter.
Stan Sifka was one of the people tweeting about Shadow Step.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. Tweeting that, you know, Shadow Step, should it be a keep? It's below the kept win rate of Shadow Step is below the overall win rate of Quest Rogue. But as you correctly at that Firefly, this is a very nice starting hand for Staz, because the reason I was going to say is when you have to get 5 quest completions, card draw is sometimes more valuable. I'm obviously talking about cards like Novice Engineer, the Mimic Pod you can get as well, that get you a little bit closer towards the later cards in your deck. But for both players here, they're only 1 bounce effect away from completing the quest.
I was just going to say, yeah, when you forget all mana costs, then yeah, they both can get 4 Flame Elementals using the tools that they already have.
Right.
So first to draw a bouncer gets there. Again, forgetting the fact that mana exists. It is going to take a little bit of time.
It is indeed, and what you do in the meantime is actually of great import, because when you are going to complete the quest, you need to remember it does not just buff the cards in your hand and in your deck, it buffs the minions in the field. You want to have as much power on the board before you complete the quest, which is why cards that value trade here, like the Igneous Elemental, are actually pretty important, because fighting for board control as Quest Rogue kind of seems like a novel idea at this point, given that it is kind of a pure, I don't want to call it a combo deck, but like an individual Quest Rogue deck. You just want to complete the quest as much as possible. It's really not like anything else. But getting as many minions on board to stick as possible whilst removing your opponent's minions is actually very valuable indeed, I found.
So, Derek, once the quest is complete in the mirror, what is it that the players are looking to have? Or at that stage, does it just not matter? Is it just first to complete wins the game?
It's not quite as simple as that. There's a lot of other things you have to consider, because obviously the premier cards are the quick cards, not the late game value cards.
Right.
It's Salty Deckhand, Wax Elemental, Stone Tusk Spore, things that have an immediate powerful effect is really what you're looking for, rather than cards like Novice Engineer, and Elven Minstrel, assuming you have a decent hand size at the time. And then cards that can be very good, like Vanish, become pretty bad, because you might just be giving your opponent a bunch of charges. But in this particular turn, speaking about a more immediate impact, katsucurry is obviously left with a very interesting choice here, where by playing the Zola, it gives him all the Flame Elementals he would need to complete the quest right away, which is why we are going to see this coming down from him now, I believe.
I hadn't spotted that.
And this raises an interesting question, which you brought up, Falcone, of obviously, yes, he does now have the mana, or he has all the Flame Elementals needed to complete the quest.
Yep.
But does he have the time? If his opponent has anywhere near a usual reasonable hand, he's looking to be in a pretty bad spot. But Sonya is not a usual reasonable card. Sonya is the best card in this deck. It is absolutely absurd.
I wish I could just kick back and watch this game. This is great. This is great.
Sorry, mate. You can't.
You keep going, Darren. You do you.
As there's a lot of tricks that are available now, because obviously the first play that springs to mind is just Sonya, double attack, play one of the minions that has been spawned by Sonya. But then Sonya into Shadow Step is kind of one of the most powerful plays you can do as Quest Rogue. It doesn't seem like it would be, because you generally want to bounce the card that you are completing your quest with. But now, with Staz having, again, easily enough Flame Elementals to complete the quest on his own side, he's not even going for it, because generally you want to bounce Sonya when you don't have enough cards to complete the quest.
The thing is, Sonya is like 6 Shadow Steps, right?
Right,
like, Sonya is not 1 Shadow Step.
No, exactly.
But against Quest Rogue, the deck that's not really going to be putting tradable minions on the board for you to suicide into, it makes sense for him to hold on to it. And like you said, Staz has more than enough to complete this quest now. He actually has 1 extra Flame Elemental in his hand and a Firefly that gets another one.
I believe that 3 out of 5 is actually from a Firefly. The amount of Flame Elementals played, I think, is at 2, although I could be incorrect.
No, good spot.
Gets a little bit confusing. But I do like the keep of Shadow Step here, because like I said, you Shadow Step your Sonya when you don't have the ability to complete the quest, because you want to go then Sonya and like 5 boars or 5 deckhands, something like that to complete the quest instantaneously is very powerful indeed. But like you said, looking back on katsucurry's side of the board here, because his opponent has got pretty close to a perfect starting hand, giving him a very quick quest completion indeed, he's in a difficult situation, because as we raised at the start of the game, as you so fantastically pointed out, having enough minions to complete the quest is not good enough. You have to do it quickly. It has to come down in a condensed fashion, which is why katsucurry's copy of the Igneous Elemental was a questionable play. It gave him the ability to complete the quest, but not necessarily in the quickest fashion possible.
Again, it's tricky to trade in this matchup.
Right.
One thing I also want to point out about Staz leaving Sonya on the board is that katsucurry actually had to deal with it. He actually had to throw down South Sea Deckhand. That could be a valuable 5-5 with charge a little bit later on in the game, but he had to use it up already.
Most certainly, and it's going to carry on being pretty dire for katsucurry here, because obviously Staz can load up on the board with, what, 4 minions on this turn, or 5 even if he wanted to with the Firefly. Like, quest completion is completely available on this turn. He just needs to worry, if I throw down everything I can here, load up 6 minions on the board in total, is that good enough? Does that stick on the board ever? Because if he thinks the answer is yes, this usually sticks around till the following turn, he will absolutely go for it. As I believe he is moving towards a quest completion there. I was slightly concerned there, as I thought he may not be doing that. But yes, we can see easy quest completion on this turn. And then, unless katsucurry can clear off pretty much every minion here, it's just lights out.
What does Katsu even begin to do this turn? He's used up Deckhand, he can dagger into a 1-1, then he's got Bore, which deals 1 damage. That's just not good enough.
Yeah.
Preparation into Shadow Step, well, sorry, into Vanish would be great if he had either of those cards in his hand.
And even then, like, I guess, yeah, if he had Prep and Vanish, then he could maybe develop a couple of minions and start taking value trades. But the thing is, for katsucurry here, he can go for freeze, and like he could go Shard into Panda into Shard, which clears up most of the board on this turn. He's not taking much damage, but he has to start moving towards his own win condition. If he doesn't get quest completed in like minimum 2 turns, this is so over
Just a
for him.
blowout,
It's not even close. As well, actually, okay, sorry. One thing I want to point out is I believe that Firefly in hand is not the one that came. Well, actually, I can't remember if that's the one that came from Sonya or not, because obviously we can see he has quest completion available. Katsucurry might not know that his opponent has the ability to complete the quest on this turn.
Right.
Because obviously 2 Fireflies were found by Staz, so when that's played, it being either a 1-2 or a 1-1 will give us full information as to which Firefly was played by Staz. And so if that is the hidden Firefly that Katsucurry does not know about, it obviously gives much better information as to what kind of a play he was allowed to go for. As, I mean, in this scenario, yeah. Okay, so katsucurry knew the quest completion was there, but he still didn't have a choice. Like I said, he has to go for his own quest completion, or it's just over.
Wow, it's actually being completed with the Firefly? Okay. Prep into the Flame Elemental.
I mean,
prep into quest
do it how you want. It doesn't matter.
But
this just gives a bit more value. And to be honest, I do question this play, because do you value an extra 5-5 over an extra 5 damage by Shadow Stepping the Deckhand?
Well,
that's the other use of
I was a little bit confused by that Shadow Step play, honestly. But at the end of the day, does it really matter at this stage? I don't see any way whatsoever that katsucurry comes back from this.
I mean, it might do, unless I'm making a mistake and there wasn't the ability to complete the quest with Flame Elementals, which I believe there was.
I think there was, yeah.
A Vanish here would stop lethal for Staz, and he would very likely end up winning anyway. But if he had kept that Shadow Step in his hand, you go, obviously, Deckhand, Weapon, Shadow Step, Deckhand, easy peasy lethal on the following turn. And I think that might have been a slight optimization of the fantastic position he's already found himself in. But obviously we can see this is just game over. Katsucurry has lost with this mirror.
katsucurry's Sonya coming in a little bit too late, and Staz gets that vital win with what should be, I guess, the most difficult deck in both players' lineups to get a win with.
It's questionable. I do agree with you that it is probably the hardest deck to take a victory with, but in terms of both of these players' lineups,